What's up, guys? This is Ian here, coach of your Ladner Lanturn, bringing you guys our Week 10 team builder for the UPBA. I'm filming this not too far in advance, actually, because we're trying to get this game done pretty quickly this week, but I am filming this in advance of my return back to Vancouver for the Christmas holidays, so it will be a few weeks without pretty much anything, to be completely honest. I'm anticipating that I will only have about 5 league matches to play during the 2 weeks that I'm at home, luckily, and then we're going to have a lot to do when we get back. UPBA, we're getting a 2-week, it's essentially a week extension for our matches in week 11 of the UPBA. In PCL, our week 7 matches are going to be pushed back next week, and in LET, I believe it is also week 11 that we'll be pushing back 1 week. So that'll be fun. But that is only 3 leagues, so I will be playing a second match in D&D. Yeah, because I'll have a match before Christmas that I'm trying to get done as early in the week next week as possible. That week will start on the 18th of December, as you can see by my little clock down there in the bottom right-hand corner. Today is the 16th of December, so I'm trying to get my matches done as early as I can next week so that I can focus on my family for the holidays and then come back to my apartment in Kelowna and pound out some videos when the next semester starts and I'm back here. So yeah, so I'll be playing those D&D matches, and both of those I filmed the team builder for week 1 against the Kentucky Torcats, and then I'll film the battle video when I get home or back to the apartment. And I'm about to film the team builder for week 2 versus the AFC Ariados right after I'm done filming this one. So that will be up when I get back as well. I'll probably just film the battle videos for both of those matches and then post them both on the same day, probably on New Year's Day when I get back. And so content will resume. I'm hoping to get this match against Byron done on Monday morning, so I should be able to post this before I go home, and then I won't be worried about posting it when I get back, because it'll be like 2 weeks and I'll be like, huh, what did I even do in this battle? What am I doing? So yeah, like I was saying, we play Byron and the Pittsburgh Registeelers in the UPBA. Yeah, so Byron's got a pretty cool team. Let's go over it. He's got Tapu Koko, Milotic, Latias, Tangrowth, Porygon 2, Hitmontop, Talonflame, Crustle, Alolan Persian, Rhydon, and Mega Scizor. His Z users are Tapu Koko and what's the other one? Talonflame. Both of those are his offensive Z users. I'm pretty sure the screenshot doesn't show that Talonflame is an offensive Z user, but it is. Trust me, I just updated my document. And Latias is his Super Saiyan Z user, things like Z Healing, which it can use. I think Latias gets Memento, so Z Memento is an option. Besides that, I don't know what you would want to run Z on Latias with, to be completely honest. Maybe like Z Tailwind or something to up the crit chance, something like that. There's a few things that I'm not expecting Byron to bring. I think Porygon 2 has a relatively poor matchup against my team because I have 3 prominent knockoff users and a really strong fighting type. So I don't think that he would bring the Porygon 2. He has not brought Crustle all season, so I doubt it's going to come. I don't see why it would come against me when it hasn't come against anybody else. I think Alolan Persian is also a really bad matchup. Despite the fact that it has Fur Coat, it basically dies to Infernape. Because it has Fur Coat, it dies to Infernape as well. Rhydon, I think, has a fairly poor matchup, especially with its 4x weakness being able to be exploited by Suicune, or one of its 4x weaknesses that I'll talk about in a second. And I think Mega Scizor also has a pretty bad matchup against my team, because Mega Absol typically is run mixed with Fire Blast, and Infernape is a huge threat, and I've brought Infernape to every single match. As you can see, I'm bringing it again, so without fail, Infernape is coming to every single match up until week 10 at the very least. Yeah, so let's talk about Byron's priority. He has priority in Hitmontop with Mach Punch, Sucker Punch, and Fake Out, Talonflame with his Gale Wings ability, Mega Scizor with Bullet Punch, and Persian with Fake Out. Alolan Persian with Fake Out. He has Hazard Setting and Crustle with Stealth Rocks and Spikes, and Rhydon with Stealth Rocks. Again, I'm not anticipating to see either of those, so I'm not as scared about Hazard Setting this week. I'm actually not bringing anything weak to Hazards in the first place this week. Typically, Crobat and Kyurem are the ones that are weak to Hazards on my team, and I'm not bringing either of those. He has Hazard Removal and Latios with Defog, Hitmontop with Rapid Spin, and Mega Scizor with Defog. And he has 4 times weaknesses in Rhydon to Water and Grass, Talonflame to Rock, and Mega Scizor to Fire. So he doesn't have a ton of 4 times weaknesses. They are exploitable. I do think Talonflame would come because it's a very fast Pokemon. You'll notice as we go through that he has speed tiers that exceed mine for the most part. Tapu Koko obviously speed ties with Crobat, but what the heck? Okay, Crobat's not doing anything to Tapu Koko, I just want to point that out. And if I lose the speed tie, I'm dead. So what's the point, right? Talonflame also outspeeds the rest of my entire team. And Alolan Persian speed ties with my next fastest thing. So that's not a fantastic situation for me. So we're running a lot more bulk this week and a lot less speed. But you'll see we have a fairly decent strategy going into this. At least I hope it's a decent strategy going into this. Byron is in a really good place in the standings over in the Sun Conference. He's part of the 4-man group fighting for the top 3 seeds there. He's actually fighting for the first seed alongside Cade, who we play in Week 9. Yet to play my match against Cade, to be honest. It was supposed to be tonight. I believe it'll be tomorrow instead now. So if Cade beats me, then himself and Byron will be tied for first. Cade has the higher differential at the moment, but that's a very heated playoff race going on in the Sun Conference, and we are in our own heated race in the Moon Conference, although the difference is not very large. We have 2 people almost mathematically eliminated from the playoffs at this point. If CSA manages to win and I manage to win in Week 9, then we do have 2 people confirmed to be mathematically eliminated from the playoffs in our conference, which tightens the race a little bit, down to 4 people fighting for 3 spots, but it also makes it a little bit easier. We have some tough matchups though, and I'm hoping that it comes down to our last matchup not having to be a serious game, but we'll see how the cards fall. Yeah, I've been beating around the bush forever. Let's just get into my team. We're rocking with Vin, Suicune. I think Suicune has an alright matchup against his team. Like, it walls Talonflame really well, it walls Hitmontop really well. It can wall the Melodic, obviously, because Melodic can't touch me. It walls the Mega Scizor really well, it walls the Rhydon really well. The only thing... See, there's 2 issues on his team for Suicune, and that's Tangrowth and... what's his face? Tapu Koko. Tangrowth and Tapu Koko are the issues, and I don't like that whatsoever. I also don't like that I have to run Rest Calm Mind, because I can't touch the Suicune back, but I needed reliable recovery. Otherwise this Tangrowth is going to destroy my life, and that's not going to be a fun time. We're running... The Suicunes are physical wall this week, so we're max HP, max defense. We've run this same Suicune many times. I feel like I haven't used Suicune to the best of its potential, and Registeel has typically been the better wall for my entire team through most of this, just because I haven't had the best answers to fast electric types on my team. Something like a Landorus Therian is usually a better answer to a fast electric type than Crocodile and Piloswine, so I feel like that's something that I didn't draft well around, and I could have improved upon, and I can and will improve upon in the future. Pretty standard Suicune set, to be completely honest. I may fiddle with the moves a little bit before the match. I might remove Calm Mind and put Toxic on there, for example, for the Melodic. I don't believe Melodic gets Rest. It can get Refresh. He might run Refresh Melodic. That's something I've been wanting to try as soon as I can actually get my hands on Melodic in a draft. That's something I've wanted to try is Refresh, because then all of a sudden you're not getting stalled out, or if he's Flame Orb, then it doesn't even matter, which is kind of what my thought process was with this, is that if he's Flame Orb anyways, then Toxic's not going to touch him, so it doesn't really matter. Next up's Harry, our Piloswine, rocking the Eviolite, Thick Bat, Earthquake, Ice Shard, Icicle Crash, and Stealth Rock. Again, fairly standard Piloswine set. For the most part, this has been the same Piloswine that we've run every single time we brought it. No real changes here. Earthquake's got a lot of use against his team. This is a really good check to Tapu Koko. Specs Grass Knot can 2-hit KO me. I'm not sure if he would bring Specs Tapu Koko. I think he could. There's really no reason for him to run Scarf Tapu Koko, unless he's really fearing like Scarfed Infernape kind of thing going on there. So I'm sold on him running a boosting item on Tapu Koko for sure. It's probably going to be Life Orb, Expert Belt, I would think, or Magnet, one of those three. He did just run Magnet against Johnny this week, and that's, I believe, one of the more standard smoke-on sets is Magnet Tapu Koko. However, Piloswine Okos it with an Earthquake always, and he does not have the greatest switch-ins to Earthquake, to be honest. In my mind, his two switch-ins to Earthquake are, his three are Tangrowth, Talonflame, and Latias. Excuse me. None of which want to take an Icicle Crash. They don't. Especially if I can get Rocks up. He doesn't have the best removal options, realistically. I've seen him bring Hitmontop to a lot of games just because he needed a spinner, because Latias had to play a more offensive role on his team. I've seen Mega Scizor not come to a lot of games because people have drafted really good fire threats, and he doesn't have the best switch-ins to fire threats, realistically. Like, one of his walls is a grass type, so Melodic at the moment is generally his best switch into a fire move, just because Rhydon can't tank hits all that reliably well. It doesn't have any reliable recovery to it. He does have a Wish Passer in Latias that's worthy to note. Next up is Monkey Boy, our Infernape. Choice Scarf Infernape with Iron Fist, Mach Punch, Close Combat, Flare Blitz, and U-Turn. Fairly standard Scarfed Infernape. The EVs are not standard, however. We are only running enough speed to outpace Mega Scizor. Byron has a kind of a large hole on his team, speed tier-wise. He has 4 really fast Mons in Tapu Koko, Latias, Talonflame, and Alolan Persian, and then besides that, his next highest speed tier is Melodic at 81. Melodic doesn't typically run a lot of speed, and if he's running max speed Melodic, that's probably bad for me because he's running a competitive set. Now, luckily, we're not bringing Intimidate on Crocodile, but we'll talk about that in a sec. So I decided to outpace the next best thing, which was a max speed Mega Scizor. I was originally only going to run enough speed to outspeed max speed Hitmontop because I felt that offensive Hitmontop dealt with Kyurem Black a little better than the rest of his team did. But I changed it because I think offensive Mega Scizor could actually do some work, not against the team that I brought, but against my team in general. I think offensive Mega Scizor could be a decent option, like Swords Dance, like max attack, max speed Mega Scizor. I know it's not normally brought that way, but it could be, because he doesn't stand a chance against an Infernape Flare Blitz regardless, but that's sort of the idea with that. Yeah, so we're running enough speed to outspeed that, and then obviously with the Choice Scarf, we're going to outspeed a lot of his... Actually, you know what? I didn't even think if we outspeed Tapu Koko. Let me just, like, check that on the fly real quick. Whoops. Yeah, okay, so we do, we hit a speed tier, we hit 411 after our Choice Scarf, which does let us outspeed Tapu Koko. He does have a knockoff user in Tangrowth, so if he does happen to knock off my Choice Scarf, then obviously we're only outspeeding Mega Scizor. At the moment, we're outspeeding his entire team. This is kind of my lead, maybe. I don't really want to test and see if the Tapu Koko's Scarf right off the bat, because I do think the Tapu Koko is likely his lead. But if I have to, I will. We're running a ton of HP because we don't have that much speed to invest, so we have 168 HP and max attack Adamant to get the most out of our close combats and our Flare Blitzes. This is probably the most HP you've ever seen on an Infernape, to be completely honest, unless you've seen a bulky Infernape for some reason. 168 HP is quite a bit of HP investment, and again, this is going to let us tank a lot of hits. I don't know how well, but you know, tanking things like Melodic. Excuse me. Tanking things like Melodic is really good, and because we're a fire type, we can't get burned, so that's really neat. Next up, these next three are kind of some heat, so I left them for last, but we've got Thick the Registeel here with rocking the Luminous Moss, Clear Body, Curse Rest, Ironhead, and Sleep Talk. We're a Curse Sleep Talk set, which is really cool. I think this could actually do a lot of work once Melodic is chipped down a lot. He's not the weakest to steel on his team, especially with things like Talon Flame, which 4 times resist, I believe. Steel? Maybe not. I might be wrong. I always think that flying resists steel for some reason. I'm maybe completely wrong on that. This is also our SpDef wall for the week. Typically, Registeelers run as a SpDef wall and Speaking's the defensive wall anyways. But the Luminous Moss is really cool. What Luminous Moss does is once you take a water type move, it raises your special defense by 1 stage. So if we're in on the Melodic and he scalds us, then we're going to get a +1 SpDef boost, and he will not be doing any damage with his Melodic, which basically lets us get up to +6 for completely free. The only way he can break us realistically is by critting us with a lot of different things. We're going to take hits respectably well, especially just because we're Registeel, right? Like, we're the bulkiest thing on my entire team in the first place. Our SpDef stat is going to be 438, and you raise that by 1 stage. Let me just do some quick calculations here, because that's what I like to do. 657 SpDef, which is absolutely disgusting. Tapu Koko cannot touch us. This is one of our really good checks to Tapu Koko, especially because Ironhead threatens him out. I know Ironhead is neutral on Tapu Koko, but he won't know that we don't have Earthquake. Registeels do commonly carry Earthquake, especially my Registeels. I've been running Earthquake a lot recently. Next up is our Steve Crocodile. We're rocking the Assault Vest, actually, to hopefully take on a Dazzling Gleam from a Tapu Koko a little bit better. Tapu Koko is the kill leader on his team, and I would like to make sure that that thing is not a problem anymore. This is also a good check to Latias. Latias can't really touch us even with like a Surf, and we can Pursuit Trap it. I opted for Crocodile over Mega Absol because I think Mega Absol is too frail against his team, and Hitmontop Mach Punch just absolutely bodies me. So I decided to bring my other Dark type in Crocodile and Pursuit Trap the hell out of that Latias. If he doesn't bring Latias, all the better, because then he doesn't have Latias. I'd much rather see something like Porygon 2 anyways, and I needed a knockoff user to get rid of the Eviolite on his 2 Eviolite mons, Porygon 2 and Rhydon. Knockoff would also be nice against the Tangrowth. It would also be nice against the Milotic. It'd be nice to get rid of whatever item Talonflame has, whether it be Life Orb or something on that thing. Get rid of the item on Tapu Koko. Earthquake, just good ground stab again. Fire Fang is there for the Mega Scizor, but it will also do a lot of damage to the Tangrowth. Max attack, max HP. Again, we're more of a bulky Crocodile, and because of his lacking speed tiers, I think that the mons that we would normally be speed creeping are not going to be running speed in the first place. So that's sort of my thought with Crocodile and not running any speed, is that we'll be able to outspeed them anyways. Hopefully we can Pursuit Trap the Latias, get a Moxie boost, and then he might like think that we're scarfed because we're Moxie, and bring in something that would normally threaten me, like Tapu Koko, and then I can go for an Earthquake and kill that thing. That'd be really cool, actually. That's probably best case scenario, is being able to get rid of Latias and then Tapu Koko. One turn with Pursuit, next turn with Earthquake, and he won't expect that we're Assault Vest, and then we'll be at +2. And what's he going to do? Mega Scizor dies to a Fire Fang at that point. Rhydon's going to die to an Earthquake at that point. Hitmontop can lower our attack for sure, but it's going to take a ton of damage from Earthquake at that point too. So that's sort of the idea with Crocodile. Mixing it up a little bit, I've been feeling a little bit more comfortable with some of these mons. It's the same thing that I'm running with in LET right now. As we're getting deeper into the season, I'm feeling a lot more comfortable with using these mons and getting some new, fresh sets out there and sort of running with it. The next thing is our major wall breaker this game. I'm hoping it can put in some work. I don't know how well it will, but I've seen it do work in other situations. It's our new pickup, Ambipom, rocking the Silk Scarf Technician, Power Punch Last Resort, max attack, max speed Jolly, so this lets us speed tie with a Alolan Persian. Again, we don't, obviously the 2 moves is only to get the best out of Last Resort, but we can, I saw Kyle A do this in the WBE with Mega Lopunny, twice actually against A-Drive, and I thought it would be kind of cool on Ambipom. We're going to hit a tiny bit harder with the Power Punch, and we'll hit a little bit harder with the Last Resort because we're rocking the Silk Scarf than that Mega Lopunny was, and I think that this can be really cool. It is going to be a full 140 base power Last Resort, so I think that's going to be really neat. It's, again, we're clicking Power Punch. It's a Technician boosted Power Punch on whatever. And then a Last Resort is going to hit his team really hard. He does have a few resists to it. He has a resist in Rhydon, a resist in Mega Scizor, and a resist in Crustle. But if we can punch some holes in his weaker mons, sorry, I shouldn't say weaker mons, in his sweepers, then I feel like I can deal with his walls, stalling them out with something like Registeel, and eventually getting the +6 from Curse, flinching, and I don't know, who knows. Actually, I wouldn't be able to flinch because I'd be the slowest thing ever, but that's besides the point. So yeah, this is the team. I'm hoping it can do some work. I'm really excited for this match, if not because it sort of like decides... It's got a lot of playoff implications, right? It's got playoff implications for myself, although I could make playoffs. Even if I lose all my games, I can still make playoffs. Depending on how Mano does, that's really what it depends on. As long as I stay one game ahead of Mano, I can make the playoffs still, with our last 4 games in here. So that's kind of the idea. I went on a little bit longer than I wanted to, but I did have some important points to talk about at the beginning. So I'm just going to leave it here, and I will catch you guys for the battle.